Yeah, Laura, we're live.
Okay.
Okay, so today we're on day 4 of the 5-day summer reset REI blueprint to scale. And we have been having, oh, let me move my camera back from yesterday. We've been having a lot of good feedback on it, especially in the Facebook group from ladies in the Facebook group. They're getting a lot of the freebies and the tools and all of that. And it's been going really, really well. So, Laura, today we're talking fix and flip, creative financing. This is more of your game, so I am definitely going to get off camera. But for everyone else who's watching, comment, leave us feedback. You can start asking questions near the end, save it for the end so it's easier because we're not able to just scroll as easily. But Laura, let's jump right in because we got about 30 minutes.
Okay. Okay. So like I've talked over the last couple of days, I always anchor this to my own experience of how I got into it. So if you remember when we were talking about wholesaling, I said I actually stumbled into it as a way to, as I was buying my rental properties, and I sat at the closing table one day buying my rental, and I realized the people on the contract was not the same person on title. And I asked, what is this? What's going on? And I realized what I was flipping a contract, as they call, and that's well, what I say when I found that out? I asked the person there, I says, how do I do this? How can I learn from you? Right? So that's the thing. It's just like you're out there learning from other people. And the great things is about having somebody that, a community and somebody who has done this before, is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It was a little harder for me because when I started, there was not really much help out there. So a lot of the things I had to figure out on my own, but you don't have to, because there is a lot of aggravation, expenses. And one of the things I always say, you're going to pay to learn this business one way or the other. You're either going to pay because you make a lot of mistakes and you're losing money, or, my favorite way is pay somebody to help me to and suggest me what to do so that I don't make the mistaken money. And on the long run, honestly, it's way more cost effective to hire somebody to do that than having a lawyer on board or somebody making mistakes and losing money, right? So fix and flip also, I kind of stumbled at as well. So, besides doing my own couple, I bought a couple properties back in the 80s and fixed them up, but then I lived there myself and then I sold them. But the thing is, as a business, I actually stumbled it. And let me share with you. I don't think I've shared this before. Actually, this is a new story in my repertoire. So I was out there looking for rental properties again, so I stumbled into the wholesaling. And one of the thing, and I don't remember if I read this somewhere or if it was one of those bright ideas that I got at 3 a.m. So one of the thing is like, well, hard money lenders, right? They foreclose too. There are people that don't pay their loans, and so they take this property back. Private lenders, hard money lenders. So I stumbled into some big private money lenders and hard money lenders, and so I contacted them. Actually, I think one of them had put an ad in the paper. This was paper time, all right, back at the beginning of the 90s. And he was saying something about, having taken some properties back and, wanting to sell them. So I called this particular lender and they had some properties. And the thing is, they took them back, but these properties needed some work. So I was able to get them to basically, I assumed, whatever loan or mortgage they had on that property. Okay. I think they wanted back then 10% skin in the game. So they wanted 10% down, some kind of good faith money for me, but then they financed the rest. And they still do it to this day, by the way. Right now, because of my relationship, I actually can get 100% financing on this property. The only money I had, quote unquote, only money I had to come up with was the rehab cost. Okay, which is not nothing to sneeze at sometimes. But what I also came across, and this was my idea, is like, what if I combine OPM with OPR? Okay, what is that? Other people money is OPM. OPR is other people resources. So I had this particular individual that he was doing work on properties. He could paint and do all kinds of maintenance stuff, but he also needed a place to stay. So I made an agreement with him. So I said, okay, what if I can pay for your labor of fixing up this property when I sell it a few months down the road, and actually I'm going to give you extra. So I don't remember what he quoted me, it was maybe $10,000. And I said, I will give you 12,000, but I'm not going to pay you until the work is done at the end. And now, and number two, I said, I provide the materials. So I gave him maybe $1,000, $2,000 up front, some money for him to live on in the meantime, but he also stayed at the property so that he was keeping an eye on things. And on top of that, I now I had to buy the material. So I went to Home Depot and got a credit card, one of those, contractors' credit cards, and I don't remember, it was $10,000, $15,000, something like that. And so then now I could buy the materials, and the bill was going to come a few weeks later, and I was going to make minimum payments until I got the house sold. So it worked really well that way. And so then I did it again and again. That's how I started really getting into doing fix and flips. Now, the other thing is, I didn't get into anything major. Okay. I got into a lot of cosmetics so that I started pre selling it before the work was done. And even to this day, even if I do more major work, I try to, when it's about 80% done, I will start marketing and get buyers lined up. And sometimes you can tell as an incentive to the buyer, say, you can choose your tiles, you can choose your colors and this and that, before I do the final touches. So actually that is honestly a selling point, especially if you're selling the house to owner occupants. So, and this is most of the builders, they do that too. They don't wait for the house to be 100% done. They say you can choose your cabinets and your flooring and so forth, so they give them a choice. So they keep things within a price range, right? So I started with OPM, OPR. So I did a few like that. And then really what escalated my business overnight to by the beginning of 2000 was doing over 20 fix and flips at the time. But that was because I got into private money and syndication in 2001. So private money is basically um, getting people on board, individuals, not companies or hard money lenders. You talk to individuals and you show them uh, the the pros of loaning to you. I think I mentioned it yesterday too, when we were talking about rentals, that there are a lot of people there that have the money, but they don't necessarily want to deal with the day to day of the real estate, right? It's like, somebody buys stocks. Well, they buy stocks, they trust that whoever as the company, they're going to do what they want to drive their stock prices up, right? So the same thing with real estate. They want to put their money, but they want their profit at the end. They don't have to deal with how you're going to make this money grow. That's not their problem, it's yours. So a lot of people are like that. A lot of people have money that they want to invest, but they don't want to deal with the real estate side of things, the day to day. So once you realize that, and I realized that, I start this big golden nugget here too. Okay, I start talking to real estate agents, mortgage brokers, title companies that I was closing with. Think about it. These people know who has the money out there. Okay, who goes to the closing table and has money? Who buys property has money? Who goes and get loans and has money, right? Now, they cannot give you their names, obviously, for confidentiality reasons, but they can certainly tell these people about you, right? So I made up a bunch of invitations and I talked to mortgage brokers and so forth. And we sent out maybe 60 invitations. And I had 25 people show up that night back in 2001. And I showed them exactly how to get a return on their money. That's what I explained. That's what real syndication is. Once I start doing that, by the end of 2002, I have over 20 fix and flips going at one time. So that really ramp up the business. And if you talk to anybody in the industry beside myself, they're going to tell you that what grew their business exponential overnight, okay, for rentals, for fix and flip, was having access to private money. Okay. It doesn't matter who you talk to, but if you talk to anybody that has a ton of rental property, if you talk to anybody that's doing fix and flips on a bigger scale, it's never just because of their own financial resources. It's all about creating the opportunity and explaining and making the proposition in a way that makes sense to somebody, so they're going to say, okay, I want to invest in this. Okay, so Isabella do it. So it doesn't go based on your credit, it doesn't go based on your income and stuff like that. And I never, that would to me was never a factor for me to get rental properties or doing fix and flips. Okay, so that's what I got overnight. So um fast forward today, I do fix and flip, but I do more higher end also because of the areas that I live in. So I do fewer but larger profits, if that makes sense. There is a whole set of new luxury real estate investing is another training that I do offer. I'm actually the only coach in the country that coaches on high-end property and luxury investment, because I did start actually as a real estate agent and also as an investor in Hawaii back in the 80s. So I actually started on the end of things, where everything was $1 million plus. But that's how I got into flip. So now that is a lot of things you can get from the story, but now let me give you some real crucial things. Number one is if you get in the beginning, unless you have experience in construction, my suggestion is start with something easy, something that is maybe a little more than cosmetics, but nothing major, okay? That would take a lot of your time and energy. So start with something that is something you can handle, let's put it that way. The other thing is you always want to pay yourself, and that's non-negotiable, meaning you want to make 10-15%. In this market, I recommend doing about 15% because you want to pad a little more because of the market fluctuations that we're having and price adjustments, like I explained on Monday. So that is a non-negotiable. So there are some cost and factors that are pretty much set in stone when you do this, and some other ones that are more negotiable. So now let me give you a quick rundown. So, really this one, write this down because I'm going to go through it once and it's going to be fast. You can always listen to the replay. How do you calculate if a property is profitable, or should you do it? Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't work with your numbers, wholesale it. Don't assume that just because it doesn't work for you as a fix and flip or as a rental that we talked about yesterday, it's not going to work for somebody else. Don't assume that, okay? People look at it different eyes, they run their numbers differently. So to figure out what you should offer on a property and if it's viable, you backtrack. So you start with what the property is worth after repair, okay? So let's say 300,000. And then you subtract from that all the cost that you personally have to consider. So rehab cost, holding cost, financing cost if you're borrowing the money, or if you have your own money, you don't have those, right? That's kind of negotiable. Closing cost when you buy it, closing cost when you sell it, commissions when you sell it if you're using an agent. If you're an agent yourself, you might be able to cut that in half. So all those costs had to be deducted. And last but not least, your profit, 15% of 300,000, which will be $45,000 at least, right? Once you subtract all of that, you come with the maximum allowable offer. So let's say that after you subtract all of that, you come up with, 140,000, okay? And so that's the maximum price that you would pay for that property. Now, you start lower. So if you feel in the back of your mind is 140, maybe you start 120, 125, and then you can go up 140 safely. Maybe you can go a little higher at the end of the day, but then you have to see if you can skim on some of the other costs like constructions or some of the other expenses that are variable. But that's how you figure out how much to offer. What do you do if, for example, the seller wants 200,000, he's not budging? For you, even a 150, 160 is a stretch. Wholesale it, okay? Don't just pass on the deal. You work too hard to get that deal, wholesale it. Don't assume that somebody else cannot make it work if they buy it for 200,000 or 210 if you make your $10,000 fee. Maybe they do their work themselves. Maybe they don't have to use funding, they have their own money. Maybe they don't have to pay commissions to list it, right? So there are costs there that are variable that for you, maybe you have to consider, but somebody else doesn't. But that's how you get to know if it is a deal. If the MAO, maximum level offer, you can get a seller to come down to that, great. If not, wholesale it, let somebody else figure out what they can do with it. Okay. But that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about with fix and flips, Liz.
Perfect. I think that was a lot of really good advice. So we had a question come in from LJ. She said, you said on the first day, I think that if you don't have experience or money, it will be hard to find a private money lender. My husband and I both have good full-time jobs. Is that enough, or do you think we need a massive savings or something also? I kind of want to start with flips and not wholesaling.
Yes, no, you can do it if you have a good W-2s, that is being in a good financial position. So yes, even if you have no experience, the lenders will work with you. Now, they might want you to have some what they call skin in the game, but the good thing with private lender, hard money lenders, they're very flexible and you can come up with a 10, 20%. The seller, maybe the seller will take a second mortgage and contribute for the down payment. They're okay with that. Or you can get, there are so many creative ways. Maybe you can get the agent to pitch in some of the commission and get it back later. There are a lot of creative ways to do it. And working with hard money lenders, they let you stack things up like that.
Now, while we wait for more questions to come in, ladies, if you have any questions about what Laura covered or anything about fix and flip or creative financing, go ahead and ask while you have her, right? Remember, she's an expert here, 40 years in the making. So I want to make sure you guys get the questions that you need. Laura, I have a question that I know is asked quite a bit that I think might apply here. Is it a good time to get into fix and flip?
Yeah, I think I mentioned this on Monday. To be on the safe side of things, good times or bad times. So to me, that's the safer way to do it is stay below FHA limits on mortgages in your area. So they vary. Okay. I cannot give you, Google, literally Google FHA loan limit Chicago, for example. Okay. So the thing is, they change every year and also they vary. Like California has a 1.2, Florida has 750,000. So they vary. But if you stay below those limits, why? Because FHA is a government insured loan where you have to come up with only 3%. So even when times are quote unquote bad, it's cheaper a lot of time for people to do an FHA loan than rent in certain areas, especially. So properties will always sell. When I was doing a lot of pre-foreclosures and short sales 15 years ago, and I was getting properties that I could resell on an FH to rehabbers who wanted to do FHA, and I had a ton of demand. I never had an issue. So stay below those levels and you'll be safe. And yes, it is a total fine time. There is a need for properties inventory, especially affordable below FHA levels.
All right. Hi. Another question is hard money lenders are just banks, right? Or is it something else?
No, the way you look at this, our money lender is a bunch of investors that have the money and they go through a third party and they loan the money out. So the hard money person you talk to, the lender, he doesn't necessarily have the money, but he knows people with money. So a lot of time it's an attorney or somebody that is knows all these people that have money and they want to invest. But like I said, they go, it's like an intermediary. That's why a lot of time hard money lenders have higher interest rates and all these quote unquote junk fees, because that's how they make their money. The people in the back make only a percentage of their money.
So when you're saying that a private money lender might require a down payment, is that what would they expect it would be required?
If you're brand new, it's probably 20 to 25%. But like I said, the 20 to 25% can also be contributed by the seller in the form of a second mortgage. So they're fine with that. They just don't want to be leveraged up to 100% out of their pocket. As you get more experience, they will loan up to 100%. Like me, they will give me 100%.
Okay, what if you had solid numbers, did the flip, but it won't sell in this competitive market?
Um, I, I don't understand what you mean.
I guess she had good numbers. She did the flip, right? She fixed it. And now she's trying to resell it and it's not selling.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say what the reason would be. That most of the time something does not sell is because of the price. You know, the buyers are not at that price. So, but there is always a sweet spot where it will sell for. So at the end of the day, you know, you have to see what the market is going to do right now for that property. So one of the things is you don't necessarily lower the price, but put something out there that encourages people to give you feedback on how much they will be willing to pay. So, like for example, best offers considered. You know, don't say bring your best offer or make offer. No, you sound too desperate. But the thing is, best offer considered, and they encourage people that inquire about the property to offer. If you don't hear anything when you put the property in the market, there is one reason: it's priced too high for whatever that market is. And keep in mind that there is adjustments are going around the country. Some areas more than others, so it's hard for me to say what the reason is, but there is price adjustments going on. So the best thing is to go out there and kind of keep an eye. If you can lower it, lower it. You're gonna start getting calls when you hit the sweet spots, number one. Number two, encourage people to bring you offer and see. You will find that there's going to be a common denominator that people are going to start hitting a certain price offers. And if you can't sell it for whatever reason, say I cannot go any lower, I'm going to lose money or whatever, maybe look into offering things like lease options to buy. So, you know, you can do with people lease option to buy and having people coming, you know, 10%, 20% down with the option to buy in a year or two from now. And then you can price it to future value and get your money back that way. The other thing I wanted to say is hard money lender and private money lender. The other good thing I like about working with them is that you can talk to them. You know, they're not setting stones like banks. You can talk to them and say, hey, you know, this is a situation. I borrowed the money, the market is kind of soft right now. Can we extend 6 months, a year? You can work some terms with them. Instead, they don't want the property back. Trust me, they're not in the business of holding property and doing property management. They want you to just give them our money back at some point.
Next question, does the program teach us how to find lenders? Yes, we teach you how to find lenders. I might have missed it, but when you sell the flip, you have a realtor do that.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You know, there is a certain process that we do. You're gonna obviously try to save on commission fees, but yeah, not necessarily. Depends on the property, depends on the time frame, depends on a lot of things.
Okay, so I had a few questions about being able to see testimonials, living proof of people. Here's the thing, when people ask for you to share testimonials, no one's going to share the good, the bad, and the ugly. They're going to share their best testimonials and things like that. Now, I could easily send that to you. I could send you the testimonials I had, the videos of the students that said how amazing our program was, or I could just show you physical proof of active students right now. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to take you into our Facebook group. This is for my students only. If you stay on to watch this, you are agreeing that you will not message any of my students. You cannot message them. All right. The reason I'm saying that is because I'm sharing this publicly, a private group. And so we have not pre-asked them if they would talk to you guys for us. We haven't done any of that. The other reason that we don't have you guys reach out to the students is because if I had to do that every time someone asked, my students would be constantly bothered. You have to remember, Laura and I have a very small community. There's about a little over 100 students in our REI Growth Mastery program. This is a phenomenal program, okay? But we keep it small on purpose. We want to make sure we're able to help students out. We actually haven't opened up the REI Growth Mastery enrollment unless they entered in through a lower program in months, because we want to make sure that the ladies feel like we can help them and we don't get so big that we cannot answer questions. So you get to see a lot of support there. Our ladies do work together. Um, and they'll JV, they meet up. I didn't get to it, even though it was like just last week. There was a picture of two of the ladies met up and we're hanging out and they posted a picture, and that's exactly what we want to see. We want to see you guys building relationships. I have a lot of ladies in there that have, and in the past that have built lifelong relationships um, through this community, and they say if it wasn't for here, I wouldn't have met. So I wanted you to give you guys an option to be able to see real life what that looks like, for you to see the group where Yeah, it's great to get on here, but that was just 3 days, 4 days worth of posts. It's a very active in the best way thing. So I have a few ladies who scheduled calls. We do want to recommend if you're interested in joining the community and learning about wholesaling, flips, rentals, and all of creative financing, getting lists of lenders that we have worked with and stuff like that. You are more than welcome to. And Laura, do you want to say anything on that?
Yes, so we are opened up for today and tomorrow as far as booking the calls. If you're interested, like we mentioned before, we have different levels of support. So it's hard for us to give you a cookie cutter approach for everybody here on this call. Everybody here is a different time in their life, different situation. So we definitely need to talk to you. However, I want to give you an offer, and I'm going to do this one day earlier because we are shutting down tomorrow. So, if you get on a call, you have to book for today or tomorrow. If you book for Monday or Tuesday, this is not going to be viable anymore. But I'm going to offer an extended 20% discount for anybody that books today and tomorrow for this, but for any of these programs. So it doesn't matter if you go on a lower entry level or if you get the REI Growth Mastery, which is our signature program, you're going to get the 20%, but only if you book. So my suggestion is go to the link, get your name on the calendar for today and tomorrow. You're going to fill out an intake form. We're going to go over the intake form with you. And then if we think we are a fit to help you and, we're both on the same page, then you get to talk to one of the coaches, possibly me, and then we can sign you up. But like I said, time is of the essence here. And I don't mean to do this, but we're moving on to other things next week. And so it's only viable for today and tomorrow. So that's it, 20% discount. And this is a great offer because I know a lot of you, and on top of that, you can work out payment plans and stuff like that. So that should not be a reason or an excuse for you not to join and get this going. And the thing is, yes, it is a great time to invest. We talked about that on Monday. So if you are worried about, oh, is this a good time to get in real estate and all that, please listen to Monday live that we did because I explained to you what is going on in the industry and the markets to make this actually an excellent time. And we're actually in a unique window of opportunity. And every time I say that, people that listen make money. I said that in 2020 when COVID hit, and people are like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, guys, remember 2.5 interest rate? I don't think we're going to see those again in our lifetime. Okay. I never saw them before. So, and I kept telling people, go and buy, go and buy, I bought. So, that's the thing that, if I tell you it's a window of opportunity, it's because it really is. It's a rare window of opportunity we have going on because of the prices kind of stabilizing, turns into a buyer's market, sellers really coming down to reason again. So, but this window will close possibly next year. So right now, get out there and do deals, and we're here to help you out.
Definitely. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the raffle. The raffle for today is your private money Rolodex with asset-based lenders. So if you win today, you actually get an access to a lot of the information of our lenders. And how that works to be entered in is you just have to join the Facebook group to grab all the freebies, and you just have to be a member of the group and you get put into the wheel. And we don't take your name out. So you always have a chance to win. So we're going to go ahead and do that. You're just going to email in within the next week, questions@realestateinvestingwomen.com to claim your freebie. So let's see who's the winner. We do it live, so you can't say we did anything else. Let's see. Ah, Cheryl Powell, you are the winner. Congratulations. Just email in and you'll be able to do that. All right, Laura, anything else that we want to say before we jump off?
Not really. I mean, the
You
other
were
thing,
going live tomorrow.
what?
We're going live tomorrow. We might want to talk about that.
Yes. So
Yeah.
tomorrow we're going to wrap things up. So, all week we spread out a lot of golden nuggets. So tomorrow we're going to do it in a way that is going to wrap all this thing up and give you an action plan on what to do. Now, when you get into any of the programs with us, we have in 20 minutes, I have a call with the students that came in, whether we call it game plan calls. So you get the checklist that exactly spells out what to do over the next 4 weeks. Now, we cannot go in this much detail tomorrow, but we are going to give kind of a high overview how this business, you can set up this business either for wholesaling, rentals, or fix and flip, so that it makes sense. Because a lot of things that happens is you get overwhelmed. You get all this training and all this stuff. And one of the things I'm really conscious about, and I think that's why our students really progress super fast, is I give you only the essential steps that you need to do in the beginning to break through. You don't need to get all this extra stuff. People come to me and take coaching program and says they want us to do the website, they want us to do this and do that and knock on doors. No, none of that. That's not here or there. So I'm very good at giving you really just the steps for you, because let's face it, all of you just want to start closing deals as quickly as possible, right? And that's what we're going to tell you tomorrow.
Definitely. So the calls are only open if you book today. Tomorrow, will you get the bonuses associated? If you booked on Tuesday or Monday, I bet you're real happy now because you get all the bonuses for the entire week. But this
Including the 20% off.
Yes, so I think this is kind of the last time we're going to offer some kind of discount like this, especially because we actually close out open enrollment for REI Growth Mastery soon. So then once it is closed, you won't be able to join that program unless you're a student, like in the lower end. But yeah, so I just wanted to give that an
And,
option there.
and I know a couple of you had booked calls, but we did not offer the 20% off on the call. So if you do want to book again, and now we opened up for the 20%. So I don't think she was able to offer it because obviously it wasn't an option. So go ahead and book again and we can extend that as well.
Yeah. All right, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow talking all things virtual wholesaling, flips, rentals. I will teach you how I delegated my team out and all the fun that has to do with that. We'll tie up the entire week and then just do a bigger Q&A. And we have a really big raffle tomorrow. So we'll see you then.
Okay, take care.
Bye, everyone.